Welcome to the Breath of Fresh Air Dental Podcast. Whether you're a seasoned practice owner, a new dentist, or an office manager looking to enhance your skills, this podcast is for you. Our friendly and knowledgeable hosts are here to answer your burning questions, address common pain points, and provide practical solutions to help you overcome any obstacles you may face. Our hosts, Amanda Demora and Sarah Hamlin, bring to the table lengthy careers in both clinical dentistry and practice administration. They now preside as the CEO and COO of Essential Dental Services.
Welcome, everyone, to the Breath of Fresh Air podcast. I'm Amanda Demora.
And I'm Sarah Hamlin.
And we've been on a little bit of a hiatus here. Unintentional hiatus. Sarah and I were traveling a little bit. We met in Chicago for a mini strategy session / get together. We live on opposite sides of the country, opposite coasts, and we do meet frequently via Zoom, but it's nice to see your teammates in person. So,
And I, for one, really like Chicago. I would be happy if our regular meetings happen there.
Yeah, we kind of ventured out of the city a bit to the suburbs of Chicago, which I'm not very familiar with Chicago, so I apologize if I'm not like speaking in correct terms. But
apologies to all the Chicagoites.
Yes. We went out to the suburbs to do a little branding photo shoot, and we were in a neighborhood where the Home Alone house is, which our Uber driver wouldn't drive us by, and I'm still a little bit salty about that.
I was looking it up on Google Maps after that, and I don't think it really looks as much like the landscaping and stuff obviously has changed, and so it doesn't give you quite the same vibes as like the movie, at least from what I could see from like Google Street View.
So you're saying we might have been a little disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go with that, and then maybe I'll just feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, Chicago was great. We had a lot of good food. We stayed at this really cool hotel, which was right up my alley, called Chicago Athletic Club. Was it club or association?
I think association.
Okay. So
shout out for all of our listeners.
Yes.
Go check them out.
Yeah, really, really cool. Used to be obviously an athletic club way back in the day, like early 1900s-ish, I think, where kind of Chicago's elite would hang, like the Wrigleys and other, prominent families of that time. But it was really giving me Harry Potter vibes, and I'm a big Harry Potter fan. But just great food, great ambiance, and highly recommend.
Fun time overall, for sure.
What else did we do? We were scheduled to go on the little boat tour, but we missed the boat, unfortunately.
Yeah. But we wandered around downtown enough to see lots of cool buildings and architecture, so that was good.
Yes, we were just in awe and really taking it all in, and lots of shopping and eating and sightseeing and all of the things.
The best kind of trip, shopping and eating.
Right. Besides going out to the suburbs, we didn't venture too far into the depths of the city. So everywhere we went was really clean. We were super impressed. All of the city landscaping boxes they had all over the place, and everything was just great. So I would definitely go back.
Me too. Kudos to Chicago.
Yes. Yep. Okay, so today we're going to talk about generating more referrals for your specialty practice, aka what general offices are looking for from a specialist that makes them want to refer to that specialist.
Yes, let's make it clear that neither Amanda nor I have experience working for a long time in a specialty practice either. So this is all from our point of view as general offices looking to refer to specialty offices.
Yep, exactly. So I have worked in specialty, but just a little bit, and that was kind of peripheral. That was where I was, doing my cleanup projects, my AR cleanup projects and things. But what I like to call my upbringing and the majority of my career has always been in general. I've talked about this before. I'm still involved with the practice that I have worked at for almost 2 decades now, and that's a really large general practice. About 10,000 patients, 3 doctors, a lot of hygienists, and specialists are always banging down the door trying to get us to refer to them. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about is, coming from that particular experience and what our doctors are wanting and looking for and, kind of saying behind the scenes. So.
Yes. Well, that, and also let's acknowledge too that a huge part or a huge understanding for these specialty offices is how to get past the front desk, right? Because let's just say, as front desk employees, we are like the gatekeepers of the office. And if we don't want to let you through, or we don't want to tell the doctor that you are here to talk to them, you will not get back there. So it's in your best interest to figure out what works, or how to get past the front desk a little bit, so that you can make sure that you are actually getting access to the doctors and getting that time to make those connections.
Yes, definitely give the front office a little bit of love, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But so my first kind of suggestion here is, if you are a new specialist to the area, and you're just kind of getting the lay of the land, I would try to join some local study clubs, and this is where you're going to meet doctors of all kinds of different specialties, but also general. My doctors are in some local ones, and they meet, I think, monthly. Obviously, it depends on the study club, but meet monthly. They usually kind of, present this big case, and all the different specialists weigh in on what they would do. And I think there's alcohol. But it's a great way to network with everybody, get to know people. I think the most important thing you can do is introduce yourself, especially if you're like, okay, I'm going to send my staff into all these offices with cookies in hopes of getting referrals. You should go yourself. You should go yourself as the doctor. Go in, introduce yourself. I would possibly say maybe call ahead and say, I'm going to come in on X date. I would love to meet the doctor. If you could just, maybe tell me a good time. Where does it look like he or she has 5 minutes to just chat with me and meet me. I think sending your staff in and no one's ever met the doctor is a big mistake.
I also think that it's a lot harder for a front desk to turn away a doctor standing in front of them than the office staff. Yes. Like, if a doctor walks in, I'm going to have a little bit more attention and a little bit more like, oh, okay, my doctor probably wants to talk to this doctor, as opposed to somebody just walking in from the office staff. The other thing I would say is if it is the doctor coming to the general office, wear your name tag. Or wear something that makes it very clear right away that you are Dr. So-and-so from somewhere, because that will help you a little bit too.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. I honestly, in the 2 decades I have been at that practice, not once did I ever say, oh no, our doctor's busy, to a doctor.
Right.
I would be like,
agreed.
Oh crap, let me run down the hall and just let them know that they're there.
Agreed.
And I also can't think of a time where my doctor didn't come out to meet that person. So
yep, same.
Very good point there.
The other thing, circling back a little bit to the study club thing, I think the other benefit to being in study clubs is that you get to know the doctors on a more clinical level a little bit too. So it's easier for the doctors to find other doctors or general dentists who align with their treatment planning philosophies or align with their opinions about certain cases. Because, at the end of the day, obviously you want referrals, but you really want referrals from other practitioners, I'm sure, that you respect and trust and value their opinion. So you're not going to be the right fit for everyone, and that's okay, but find the people that you are a good fit with and then spend your time and energy connecting with those people.
I would say, so we have honestly, this is kind of weird. I don't know if it's just coincidence, but so we have 3 doctors, and our most senior doctor, a lot of our local specialists, like he actually like went to dental school with those people. So that was helpful. And I will say that a lot of the specialists that we refer to are like personal friends of the doctors. Yeah. But that was a little bit of a mix of just getting to know them over the years. I mean, some of it was, yes, they went to dental school together. Obviously, it's very important to them that they're referring to specialists who do good work. Yeah. But I can see where some specialists might be a little bit intimidated by that. Like, oh, they're not going to refer to me because they're already friends with this specialist. Well, things change all the time. Honestly, things change all the time. Many of the specialists that we've worked with in the past, you know, they get bought out by some kind of DSO group, and we don't like the way things are going there anymore, and we're looking for a new place to refer to. Doctors retire, and we don't necessarily love who bought the practice, so we're looking for a different specialist, and things are ever evolving.
And I think that, you know, at least in the practices that I've been into, you know, they kind of know enough about the specialist to know, like, oh, this oral surgeon places this type of implant, and when I do the restoration on this crown, I'd like to do it with this implant system, so I'm going to refer to this specialist for this case. Like, there are definitely nuances and things that happen that would make them refer to multiple specialists or different specialists. And also, let's not forget that patient preference comes into these things. So sometimes patients want to see a male doctor or a female doctor, or they need to be in this part of town or that part of town, or they need to be on a Friday and this specialist not open on Fridays. So don't rule yourself out just because you're not, you know, best friends with the general dentist. I think there's a lot of room for everybody to play together in the sandbox. You just have to be willing to put your name in the hat and, you know, get out there.
Yes, and I would say, you know, keep continuing those efforts, honestly. One good thing that I saw some specialists do over the years is they would call and they would try to take the doctors out to dinner or something, you know, some kind of personal connection there. So keep trying to do that to build, for sure. All right, next, we'll shift a little bit into referrals and reports and all of that fun stuff. Fun stuff that the front desk just loves.
Yes.
So,
well, and the doctors too, because, I mean, obviously the doctors are reading these reports as well. So that is really a key part of it.
So, good reports. I think you'll probably know what we mean here, but I mean, the report has to be, you know, clear, concise, but have details. It can't leave like a ton to the imagination. So have good reports, have a quick turnaround time for those reports. So kind of off the top of my head, you know, the endodontist we refer to all the time, I mean, the reports are sent same day after they've had their endo treatment, which is great. And then, you know, generally after that, we're going to reach out to that patient, get them in for whatever they need after that endo, if it's an endofill, if it's a crown, whatever it is. So that helps us, it helps the patient, it helps everybody. So don't take too long to be sending those off.
So let's say, what do we think makes a report good, right? Clear, easy to read information. I have worked with some specialty offices who are like handwriting on something and like scanning it into the paper chart and then trying to email it to us, and I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like, it hopefully digitized, hopefully clear and easy to read. I loved it when the specialty offices would include
post-op x-ray.
Yes, okay. Include the x-ray, for sure. Yep. And also would include a specific spot that said, like, when the patient needed to come see us. Like, if they did go to endo and it's a 2-step endo process, like, is this the report for the first part and the patient's going to come back to you before we need to contact them? Do we need to wait 2 weeks for healing on this implant before we check them? Like, you know, whatever the case may be, if that's clearly outlined in your report so that we know exactly the date and time frame that we need to be reaching out to the patient on our end, that's very helpful. What else? Quick, like you said, a quick turnaround.
post-op x-ray. Like, I can't stress this enough. And because from a lot of times we would use that post-op x-ray for maybe a pre-treatment estimate or something like that. Definitely if they needed a crown after endo, we pre-treated every implant crown because we just did, because it's complicated. And we had one specialist who was never taking post-op PAs, which just drove us crazy because insurance always wanted a PA of the implant actually placed.
So then you had to have them in for an x-ray before you could send the,
Drove us totally nuts. So please take that. Also, like, I'm not a specialist. I was going to say, like, don't you kind of want to? Don't you want to make sure that's in there? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, but I think that's about it. However you're sending these over, like, PDF is good. The format in which these referrals are coming back to us is important. Make them easy to open, make them easy to be stored on multiple different PMS. Yeah.
Okay, one other thing that I'm going to bring up in relation to reports and like referral forms, because on the flip side of this, having a referral form that is easy to fill out for the doctor to fill out, the assistant to fill out for the doctor, because we got to scan that in and send that over to your office too. So having a good, easy to use referral form is also important. I just was seeing online a couple of people complaining about people from general offices complaining, people meaning front office staff, complaining about the number of calls that they were getting from specialty offices trying to get patient insurance information. Like, the specialty offices weren't able to get it from the patients, or the patients were saying, oh, just call my general dentist, they have the info. So then the specialty offices kept having to call them to get the insurance info instead of getting it from the patient. So this thread was just full of people venting their frustrations about specialty offices not being able to get insurance info on their own. And I kind of have mixed feelings about it. I've definitely taken those phone calls and definitely had the same kind of feelings of like, well, we put in the work to get this insurance info. Why can't you guys get it? But at the same time, I think there is a level of, camaraderie and helping each other out that has to go on here. So one thing I would say on your referral forms is if there is a spot for you to put, does the patient have insurance? Yes or no, or something. If we can give you some of the patient information as far as insurance goes to help streamline that and cut down phone calls back and forth, I don't think that that's a bad idea or a bad way to try to avoid some bad blood with your general offices.
Yeah, I like that idea. I was always happy to give information over the phone. How hard is that?
Well,
but,
I think
if you
if it's happening a lot during the day, I can see why it's frustrating if it's taking up a lot of their time. But
what I was going to say was, if there is like an extra line on there, you can just, what dental insurance company did they have? I mean, that alone, and like a subscriber ID, maybe that can go a long way for a specialist office. So yeah, that is a good idea. In regards to referral forms and portals and all of that stuff, so I still like old school paper pads. So my favorite specialist that we refer to, it's an oral surgeon. They send us paper pads, a stack of their referral pads, and on their website is, referring providers. You click that. It is their exact referral paper, but in digitized form. And you go through all the steps, you attach the x-ray, all of that. I just like to have both. The patient can kind of have the paper copy if they want, but we obviously always use that website portal to send the referral off. And the specialist prefers that as well. So just make it easy.
I hate to say it, but this is why you need to get on Open Dental instead of EagleSoft. Because in Open Dental, you can scan in the referral forms and you can have them fill from the patient chart and you can type it all in and then it's all there and you don't have to write anything on paper anymore.
I mean, honestly, when I'm giving referral forms to patients, I don't usually write things on it. It's just for them to have their address, their phone number, all of that stuff, and I'm sending it all just digitally to wherever. But
I'm with you. I just had to say,
What else? Okay. This also recently happened, and I think I already was talking to Sarah about this, but we had a specialist recently who decided they were going to start using this one particular app for referrals. They wanted all their communications to be through this app. I won't say the name of the app because it is a good app, but our front office staff was just kind of like a little annoyed with that, because if every single specialist had their own app that they wanted, it's just not practical at all. And to be checking a million different things. Oh, did this specialist send a report on this app? Did they message? It was a pain. We do not want to do that. So just don't do that.
Yeah. Or if you are going to look into something like that, like make sure there's a way for offices to get notifications that's outside the app. Like, can it send us an email alert every time you get a referral, or something that helps facilitate that for general offices a little bit? Because like you said, you're not going to be checking 20 different apps to see if anything got sent over. That's just, too much.
I will say they were very good with the implementation of this. Like, they were like, okay, the app rep, he'll come into your office if you want, he'll help you guys, whatever we didn't need to do that, but they were willing to do it, so that was nice. But in general, that was met with a lot of resistance, and I think that was actually common because now they've kind of tapered off using that. They're probably wait a second, no one's communicating with us on here. So,
yep. And that's the hard part about trying new stuff like that, is it's all kind of trial and error. Like, you hope it's going to be great, and it's probably great on your end. But if you're, I almost said if your constituents, but not quite. If your customer base or, your referring doctor base isn't in love with it, then you're going to have to make some adjustments. And that might be something too, that's not a bullet point that we have written down, but I would just say, especially if you are a new doctor buying a practice or a startup, I'm working with a couple of specialty startup practices right now, with some consulting stuff, and those specialty practices that are just starting up, one thing you're going to have to know is there's probably going to be some trial and error with this stuff. Like, you might have an idea of what you want to do, or you might have an idea of what was done at the practice that the doctor was an associate at before, and things are just going to be different for your area, for your patients, for your referring doctors. So don't invest in 5 gajillion referral forms yet. Until you try a couple out and know if you need to tweak stuff. Because, that's the other thing is it is hard to go switch those paper things. You're not going to want to throw away all of your referral forms that you printed out when you realize, oh, we need 10 extra boxes, or we need this or that. So just keep that in mind when you're starting out or when you're trying things, is being flexible and listening to the feedback that you're getting from the general offices about that stuff is important.
I think the biggest thing I think I want people to take away from that is just make sure you have a referral form on your website.
Yeah.
A lot of specialty offices don't. So that is the most streamlined way to do it. Make sure you get that set up. All right, let's talk about some fun things specialists send over or do that staff seem to appreciate and doctors seem to appreciate.
Also, let me just start by saying I do not envy the marketing people, the front desk person who gets this job of having to think of fun stuff to give to referring offices, because I would not succeed in this position. I do not have the creativity that some of these people are. What they walk into our offices with, I'm just like, who thought of this? And who put the time and effort into making this crazy basket that you made for how many offices? Like, kudos to all of those people, because it is not, I don't think it would be a very fun job, at least not for me.
I actually was thinking that 2 days ago, because we have a couple referring ortho offices around us, and one has just killed it for years, and I've always thought that, like, I'd be out of ideas. I would totally be out of ideas by now. And then we have a newer one who, new doctor, I think, bought her, I think, father-in-law's ortho practice. But it's the doctor herself who's doing all these things. And I actually called the other day after they dropped everything off, and I said, I really just want to say thank you, because this stuff is going over so well. It's so creative. Everyone's loving it. So I'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about some other stuff.
Yes, tell me what it is. I'm dying to know now.
So she had called ahead and asked for the name of all of our hygienists. We have 9 of them. And what she ended up bringing in was these really cool, I'm assuming she got them on Etsy, unless she has a Cricut at home, but really pretty, like, acrylic, like, desk name tag things. So they said everyone's name, registered dental hygienist. They were all different colors. The hygienist, like, ate this up like candy. She also dropped off some really beautiful, like, glass tumblers with the glass straw, and coffee, and a little milk frother, and some T-shirts. I mean, this was a massive thing. But of all the things, the name tags went over the best. The hygienists can put them on their windowsill or wherever they want. So that went over well. I'm trying to think of some other crumble cookies always go over really well.
Yep.
Those are hot right now.
And they're also easy too. You know what I do like is I sometimes like I like surprise ones. Like, everybody's dropping something off for 4th of July. Everybody's bringing something by St. Patrick's Day, trying to bring cutesy green stuff, which is fine. But I do like ones that just come by on a random Tuesday in, whatever, saying, hey, we appreciate you and the patients that you're sending our way. Here's a little mid-afternoon pick-me-up. Like, that is nice too. So don't underestimate the power of small, thoughtful gestures, just because it doesn't have to be some big themed basket of whatever.
Yep. I do. So before our endo office that we refer to all the time brought in, I think it was $100 gift cards for every front desk member.
What?
Which was nice. So I kind of like seeing that like targeted type of mark too. So hygiene. Sadly, I haven't really seen assistants be targeted, but there's room there, and somebody should.
Yep.
So, I kind of like that. And what else? I mean, like I said, crumble cookies are big. Sweets always go over well. Fruit, not I was going to say much.
My most recent office, anyhow, always was happy when we got something other than sweets, because it seems like it's always donuts, cookies, whatever, especially around the holidays. It's like sweet basket after sweet basket after sweet basket coming in. So when somebody would come in with that meat and cheese tray, we would be like, yes, we need that.
I would be all over meat and cheese tray.
Yep.
Or like send a pizza or something.
Yes.
It's always good if you're going to do something like that, like lunch, call ahead.
Yeah.
That way you can let the staff know to not bring their lunch or not plan to go out for lunch that day.
I will say for sure, and maybe this is just me being somebody who likes food, but I would say anything edible usually is a pretty good bet, especially if it is something that's not like pre-packaged. Sometimes you get the pre-packaged baskets and the food's kind of but if you're able to get something that's a little more fresh and a little bit more like local, I definitely think that was always a hit.
Yeah, for sure. Not the stale donut box that's been sitting in your car for 2 days.
Well,
that,
or
never goes over that well.
I was thinking more like the no offense to like Harry and David, but those kind of ones where it's like, it's like got the crackers and the cheese that doesn't have to be refrigerated, which also is just like, there's something going on there with the cheese that doesn't have to be refrigerated.
Something is off.
Something is amiss. But yeah, those ones are like I appreciate the thought, but they just always never went over well. Those would be sitting on the break room table for ever, and then we finally just toss them.
Yes. Yep. So fresh, local, for sure.
Yes.
All right. some other things that have gone over well. So we also had an orthodontist who put on, now this is like kind of large. This is like a bit large scale, who put on some free CE events throughout the year. So one they did every year was like infection control. Mm-hmm. That got so huge. There was hundreds of people there over time. But that was really always appreciated. I mean, like, it was dinner. I think it was open bar. Like, it kind of got a little crazy. And then recently, a local perio office started doing it for hygiene only, which is great. And our hygienists love that. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, that's a little bit larger scale. However, I do think that some of those were sponsored.
Yeah.
By companies. So that could help offset the cost a little bit. But those, I think, are generally received very well and appreciated for sure.
One thing similar to that, events-wise, there's a local pedo practice to me here that is constantly setting up events. Like in Halloween, they had like a pumpkin decorating contest. So offices would decorate a pumpkin and go submit it to their office, and then they had their patients voting on which one they liked the best. Ooh. And whichever office won with the most votes got, lunch delivered to them or whatever. So my office was diehard about that. We win like 2 years in a row, I think, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. But they were doing
humble brag.
Yeah, they were doing fun things like that. They also organize like movie nights. They would like rent out a whole theater at the movie theater and invite, families and staff with their families from like referring offices to come, so you can meet other people in referring offices, which is a nice like networking opportunity, but it's also not CE and work related, and you can bring your kids and it's more laid back. And they also were doing like fun carnivals like in their parking lot and things like that. So they were really going above and beyond. But I think that just goes to show, it doesn't have to be a gift basket. You can come up with many other options or ways to help, just get your name out there and have you be top of mind for some of these general offices too.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those kind of like grand openings where, you are inviting your fellow local dental friends, other offices. It's not necessarily for patients, where they had food trucks, or they kind of just had like it catered light appetizers and drinks, and get a little tour of the office, and they get to meet you and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Movie nights. Yep. I've seen those around here as well. It's all I got at the top of my head. Mm-hmm. But I think that was pretty thorough.
Hopefully it was helpful for all those specialist office out there.
Yes, for sure. All right. Well, I think we can wrap up.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I hope you all stuck with us through that.
Yeah, we swerved a little bit, but thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we will see you on the next episode.
Bye.